Here we go. Expansion policies of three nations between World War I and World War II in record time, faster than anything. Welcome to today's class. Okay, between World War I and World War II, we're going to focus on Italy, Japan, and Germany, and the failures of this group of people down here called the League of Nations to stop their expansion policies, which will lead directly into World War II. Okay, so they want to expand into land and other things. So we're going to look right here at Germany last. We're going to look at Italy first, even though Japan arguably will be moving over a little bit sooner than those. Okay, so we're going to look at those ones. All right, here we go. Italy. This is Mussolini right here. That's Mussolini. This is before they edited the picture, and there's after they edited the picture. Pretty awesome. So Italy lost to Abyssinia, which was modern-day Ethiopia, in the scramble for Africa in the 1800s. It was the only African nation not to be colonized. And Mussolini will see this as an opportunity for him to use better guns and warfare and all that stuff to take over an easily takeoverable country, which will be Abyssinia. Now he gets the idea to expand because, for one, he wants to increase his prestige. As you can see here, he wants to look super, super awesome. His world prestige. He also wants to get more resources because we know that the economic times of the 1930s and the 1920s from many parts of the world are making it difficult, but especially when we get into the 1930s. So that'll be part of it because he wants to have self-sufficiency or autarky, as they say. Okay, and he gets this idea because the League of Nations, these guys right here, especially you, I'm looking at this guy right here in the bald cap. You can't see it in black, but there he is. That's him. That's the guy. Okay, I'm looking at him. So they fail to do something with Japan right here. Okay, so Japan signs this thing called the Kellogg-Brand Pact, which Italy also signed, and many, many other nations signed it too. And it said that they would renounce war as an instrument of national policy. The League of Nations was set up as an extra, not a government organization, but a non-government organization that could settle disputes when countries had disputes. And another additional thing was the Kellogg-Brand Pact that was kind of separate from all that. All these countries were trying to keep safe, and it was high and mighty. The failure of the League is a whole other thing. So we're not going to talk about that right now with the other stuff. But what we will talk about when the failure is this country right here, Japan. So Japan has already moved into Korea, and they now are moving up into Manchuria. Okay, Manchuria, this right here, is the old homeland of the Qing dynasty, who will be the last dynasty of China. And in Manchuria, as we know, they're going to have the Japanese will have their military. And as you guys said on Friday, Hirohito, the emperor of Japan, is really just a puppet. So the military runs the show. And they said, well, since we signed that Kellogg-Brand Pact, let's do something else. So there's a railroad there. You can see I just drew that in there. It's a nice railroad, right? So the military bombs their own railroad that they control, the South Manchurian Railroad, into what's called the Mukdong Incident. And they blame it on the Chinese, so therefore they can go to war against the Chinese, right? That sounds great. Then they can take over what they want, which is Manchuria. And they'll call it Manchukuo. They'll take it over. I'm probably pronouncing things wrong, so just whatever, roll with it. So the League of Nations sends people to go investigate. Lord Lytton in his Lytton report, something like that. And they find that the Japanese did in fact do some bad shenanigans. They suspect it. They're like, the Japanese are not to be trusted there in Manchuria, and they basically slap them on the wrist. And they say, you are naughty, 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 and if you don't like it, then, or else. And there is no or else. And so the Japanese just say, fine, we'll leave the League of Nations. And that's what gives Mussolini the idea that he can also defy the League of Nations and nothing will happen. Which in this case, nothing happened. They just take over Abyssinia. So both countries are highly expansionist. And you can see here with this chart, between 1931 and 1942, the Japanese are really going to take over a lot of land. And they're going to really try to get most of the Pacific if they can. That's going to bring them into conflict with the USA, but that is a whole other topic. So we're just going to say, for right now, know that the war is starting pretty early in Asia with like the 1930s. Okay, then what the heck is happening? What? No, why? Okay, here we go. Germany. Adolf Hitler believes in this idea of Anschluss. Okay, and Anschluss. See, there's two S's there. Is this idea that the German people should be united. So who's German in this part of Europe? Well, we know that the Austrians are German, and so that's going to be part of the beginning. But at the end of the League of World War I, the League of Nations and the Treaty of Versailles, not the League of Nations, but the Treaty of Versailles says that Austria and Germany should not be united. So first, Germany he gets some people in power who are Nazis in Austria, and then he says to them once they are in power, hey, let's be joined, and they say sure. And then he moves some people into the Rhineland, which they're not supposed to put any military in the Rhineland, and he moves his military over there, and France goes, we're nervous, and nobody else cares, and so they just stay there. And that's going to be the other point that they do. So they move people into their own territory, but technically they're moving it that way. And then they look at this country right here, Czechoslovakia. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it, something like that. Oh, that's us, right? Right here, right? This is us, Bratislava. So Czechoslovakia. So he says, I would like this area called the Sudetenland, right? And the Sudetenland is a highly German-speaking area. There's lots of Germans all around this area right here, and then there's Hungarians around here. And so all of these places, at least the German-speaking parts, were attractive to Adolf Hitler because he wants to unite the German-speaking people. So Mussolini says, hey, everybody, let's come together and let's meet in Munich and settle this like gentlemen. So Mussolini invites Neville Chamberlain, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, to Munich, and Adolf Hitler, and they decide for whatever reason not to invite anyone from this country right here. They decide, let's not invite the Czechoslovaks. I wonder why they wouldn't want to do that. And they say, sure, okay, you can take the Sudetenland. And they do that because they believe in this idea of appeasement. Okay? And appeasement is, if you can see anything in the word, there's this idea of to appease, right? To give somebody what they want. And the foreign policy at the time, which is how you're going to deal with other countries, was to appease an aggressor so they don't go after you. So Neville Chamberlain is not ready for a fight yet, and Italy is not quite sure where they stand yet with Nazi Germany. They'll eventually join up, but they're not completely sure where they stand yet. Remember, Mussolini called Adolf Hitler a silly little monkey, so, those are fighting words right there. But in appeasement, they give him this. And just like any good bully, they don't just take the lunch money, they take all the lunch money for the entire week. They take the whole thing. And the nice thing for Slovakia at the time is they'll get their own country for a little while, but it's going to be a little bit of next. It's going to be different. Oh, they'll actually go down here, Bratislava, and maybe they don't get all that, but they get something. I know that where we live right now, this goes to Hungary, right there. That'll go to Hungary. So they get some. But Hitler takes what they call Bohemia and Moravia. They'll take this area up at the top of that. They basically get the Czech Republic. Slovakia will have a puppet government. So they start to expand, and as they do, Hitler loves dogs, German shepherds. It's so nice. So as they expand, they'll also start to move into Poland, but that's going to be for a different story at a different time, because that'll lead directly into the European part of World War II, which will draw other folks in. But remember, the war is already going on for the most part. Well, yeah, I think if you talk to anybody in Asia, the war has already started between Japan and China and everybody else over there. Just hasn't officially started in Europe at this point. But all these expansion policies will lead into conflict with other countries, namely the United States, Great Britain, France, pretty much everybody. The world is going to be at war. But don't worry, guys, because, we're safe from cute things. We've got things, cats in space eventually. Cats in space. I think it's good. So there you go. We've hit 10 minutes. I did it. Awesome. I'll see you guys online.